Good morning, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Now last week I did a video on my top 5 albums of 2017 and my very good friend Hugo commented saying that I should do a top 10 songs of 2017. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Love you Hugo, hope to see you soon. Now music obviously is a subjective thing and I haven't chosen these pieces because I think they're the most critically acclaimed or musically complex arrangements that have been released in 2017, but more because these are the songs that I have listened to the most and enjoyed the most throughout the year. So let's get into it. These are in no particular order, but track 1 on my list is Post Malone, Rockstar featuring 21 Savage. It may be surprising to some of you that that song is on my list, but I love Post Malone. I think he's an incredibly talented artist. And that song is just wicked, like the beat hits really, really hard. And I love the tremolo effect that they've put on Post's vocals to kind of sound like it's vibrato or something in the choruses. I love it, I listen to it all the time. And actually a YouTube user called Ellie asked me after my last video about why I don't talk about things like rap and hip-hop very much on this channel, and I definitely do listen to it. It's just I've only recently in the last sort of year or two developed an appreciation for those genres. I don't feel comfortable necessarily talking a huge amount about those particular genres when my understanding of them and appreciation is very much in its infancy. But yeah, I do really like those genres. I'm quite selective about what I listen to within them, so some of the artists that I'm into at the moment are like Post Malone, obviously. I really like Danny Brown and Childish Gambino, especially his earlier stuff, so the album Because the Internet, I think that is absolutely genius. Track number 2 is by Lights and it's called We Were Here. This is the first song that I heard off her most recent album Skin and Earth, and I just think it's a super sexy song. After the intro, when the beat comes in with her really, really rhythmic vocals and the lyrics and the production of it, it sounds sick. I love it. Track number 3 is actually a bit of a cheat because it's 2 different songs, but they're by one of my favorite artists of all time, Paul Thomas Saunders, and they are basically 2 out of the 3 songs that he's released this year. One of them is called I'll Come Running and the other one is called Holding On For Love. I feel like if you listen to and enjoy those 2 songs, you'll enjoy all of his music. I'll Come Running is one of the best love songs I've ever heard, and part of the reason for that is because Paul said in an interview about it that he hates love songs because they're always so kind of saccharine and cliched and just full of all of this kind of, I don't know, like the nice things about love, when really it's a very complicated and traumatic and turbulent emotion to feel in any situation. And the song I'll Come Running just highlights that so well. Holding On For Love is just so brilliant and so pretty, and the way it's all kind of arranged and put together works amazingly well, especially at the end where he does this soaring vocal melody over the top of what was previously like the chorus, and it's just listen to those songs, seriously, just listen to both of them. Track number 4 is by The Horrors and it's called Something to Remember Me By. Now, I mentioned this briefly in my last video, but it was the first song from their new album that I listened to. I think it was one of the first singles that they released from it. It's a really great track that develops so smoothly, and I love how the drums and the bass, which are very much the driving force for the song, have got a very sort of lo-fi feel to them that you commonly get in, I guess, traditional indie music, if such a thing even exists. It probably doesn't. It definitely doesn't exist. But they've got that kind of indie rock band sound to them that's then kind of fleshed out with this synthwave stuff that's going on, and it's so well done, that track, and the production on that album as well is just fantastic. Track number 5 is by London Grammar and is called Big Picture, and this is simply a beautiful song. It's the perfect pairing between a band and a producer, with John Hopkins coming in to kind of help to sculpt these amazing atmospheres and soundscapes that go on behind the main melody that's always carried by Hannah's stunning voice. I just think this is my favourite song from that album, and definitely one of my favourite songs this year. Track number 6 is by The National and is called Karen at the Liquor Store, and if you've heard the song already, you'll know exactly why it's in this list. It's just a simply stunning piece of music. The piano that opens the song up, the lyrics, the vocals, and the guitar tone when that solo happens is unreal. Track number 7 is by Hillsong United and is called So Will I. If you were going to listen to just one song from the most recent Hillsong United release, Wonder, then I'd say it should be this one. This one or Shadow Step. Shadow Step is really cool. The thing that I really like about United is that obviously fundamentally they are a Christian band, but if you don't follow that faith, if you're not religious yourself, then there are still degrees to which you can definitely really enjoy the music and really appreciate what they've done. Track number 8. Now this might seem a little strange. This is by Dan Romer and Saul Simon McWilliams. It's called Goodbye Lizard Island, from the soundtrack to Chasing Coral. Very few times in my life has a documentary that I've watched made me cry, but Chasing Coral is one of them, and there's a specific scene that I'm thinking of when this piece of music is playing, and it's just so powerful with what you're seeing and the music that's accompanying it. It's such a powerful moment, especially after all of the things that you've learnt about coral and coral bleaching during this documentary. It's a great documentary, like you should watch it on Netflix. If you've got Netflix, watch Chasing Coral, it's really, really good. And it's got an amazing soundtrack, for which my favourite piece is definitely Goodbye Lizard Island. The penultimate track on my list is by Tom Spate and is called Old Flame. I first heard this on that The Most Beautiful Songs in the World playlist that you can get on Spotify. A fairly hit and miss playlist if you ask me, but that song, I can remember it was on in the background and it kind of just, I just overheard the line, "I don't know why I came here tonight, but I want you." And at the time in my life of listening, that was a very relatable line. I immediately downloaded it on iTunes and listened to it on my walk home from like work or something. In terms of its instrumentation and arrangement, it's nothing particularly special. It's a fairly generic acoustic guitar singer-songwriter track, but it's very moving and it's very beautiful, and it kind of goes to show that you can be an acoustic singer-songwriter and still make good music. You don't have to make really, really, really boring music. And finally, track 10 of my favourite songs of 2017 is by Alt J and is called Pleader. The final track from their most recent release, Relaxer. This song is just all kinds of awesome, and it starts off really weirdly. I would understand if you listen to the first minute if you were completely put off it, but it gradually morphs and just takes on this whole new form, and it sounds so good, and it's such a perfect way for them to finish that album. But also as a standalone song, it's just amazing, especially when the choirs come in at the very end in like the climax of this piece. It's pretty awesome, yeah. So there we have it. Those are my top 10 tracks of 2017. And as I said in the beginning of the video, I don't mean to say that these are the best pieces of music that have been released this year by any means. These are just the pieces of music that I listen to the most and that I personally enjoyed the most. But what are your favourite tracks of 2017? I'd love to know what you think down in the comments, what you think of my choices, if you agree with some of them, if you think some of them are terrible choices. I'd love to know all of that down there, and thank you so much for the various comments and suggestions that I got on my last video, because I've been having a great time reading through the comments and just having listened to some of the albums that made up your 2017, so it's awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed this. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you very soon.